Hey guys, welcome to another video, and in this video of your class 10 real numbers, we will be doing the exercises from this chapter. And in the previous videos we've already covered all the concepts of this chapter, and in this video we'll be starting with the exercise problems one by one, so that we'll get a clear concept, a clear idea of all the concepts of each exercise. So let us start with exercise number 1 of your NCERT textbook class 10. So exercise number 1, the first problem, I'll be only taking some model problems from your exercises where you'll be needing some assistance, where I can apply the concepts and make you understand the concept in a clearer fashion. So only a selected few problems will be solved in this video. You can understand the core concept from it and apply the concept to every other question. So as of now, I'll be dealing with the first question from exercise number 1. You can follow along, you can see the questions of this chapter and you can try to solve them along with me, so that you get a clear concept while listening to me what I am saying and how I am explaining the concepts. So here is question number 1. So question number 1 says that we have to use Euclid's division lemma to find the HCF. To find the HCF of these two numbers, 135 and the second number is 225. So we have to use Euclid's division lemma to find the HCF of these two numbers. We know two methods to find HCF. Those two are the Euclid's division lemma and the second one is prime factorization method, where you factorize this one and find the HCF from both of those factors. Now they have asked us specifically to do it with Euclid's division lemma. So you all can recall what are the steps of Euclid's division lemma. So the Euclid's division lemma, the first step will be to find the larger of these two numbers. So 135 and 225, what is the larger number? 225 obviously. So we have to take the larger number 225 and then operate 135 so that we get 225. So what is the form we have to operate it in? We have to get, suppose this is A and B. I assume this as A and this is B. So A equals BQ plus R. This should be your form where you will evaluate it and further go until you get the remainder as 0. So now 225 is my A. A equals BQ plus R. Our B is 135 times our Q will be some number. Our Q will be a number plus R. Now our objective is to find this Q and R. So what will it be? This will be 1 time. So 135 times 1 will be 135. So 225, what will be the remainder of it? The remainder will be 90. Now what you do is take this as A and this as B. The second step will be taking this 135 as A. 135 equals 90 times something plus another number. So what will this be? This will also be 90 times 1, which is 90, plus what is remainder? 135 equals 90 plus 45, right? So 45 will be your remainder. Now again, the next step will be 90 equals 45 times some number plus some number. So 45 times 2 will be 90, right? 45 times 2, you'll get 90, plus there is no need for a remainder, so it will be 0. So this is the last step. Why is this the last step? Because you are getting the remainder as 0 and this is when you need to stop proceeding. So what is the HCF now? You've done all the procedures, but you need to find the HCF at the end. So the HCF of these two numbers 135 and 225 is this number 45. Therefore you can conclude that the HCF of the above two numbers is 45. So that was our first problem from exercise 1. So let us move on with the second question. Question number 2 of exercise 1. As you know the steps, common steps of Euclid's division lemma and how to solve it, you can follow along with this question, from this question onwards. So our question number 2, our subdivision 2 according to your textbook is finding the Euclid's division lemma of these two numbers. HCF of these two numbers using Euclid's division lemma. So the two numbers are 196 and 38,220. So these are your two numbers. Now, how do you solve this? Your first step will be finding the higher number or greater of these two numbers. We know that this number is obviously greater than this number. So you should operate 196 and bring in 38,220 is to be brought into that form BQ plus R. So our first step, as you all know, would be 38,220 equals 196 times something plus something. So over here, when you start dividing 38,220 divided by 196, you will get a quotient of 195 plus 0. That will be your entire division. what I'm doing over here is basically dividing this with 196. Divide these two. 38,220 divided by 196. Now if you evaluate the entire thing, it will go exactly 195 times, and the same 38,220 will appear, so that your remainder will be 0. You try it, you try dividing it, and you'll get this answer only. So when you go on, so you should know somewhere to stop, right? This is the point where you stop. You get the remainder as 0, and here the procedure ends. So what is it? What is the HCF? HCF of these two numbers is 196. So finally, you can say that the HCF of the above given numbers is 196. Now that was our question number 2 of exercise 1. So I'm sorry, that was a subdivision of question number 1 actually. So yeah, all the other questions of this subdivision are the same. They are exactly to find out the HCF using division lemma of the given two numbers. Let me solve another problem from question 1 itself, subdivision 3. Now what have they asked us to find? They have asked us to find the HCF of these two numbers using Euclid's division lemma. 867 is the first number, and our second number is 255. So what will be your first step while solving? Obviously finding the greater of these two numbers. So you know that 867 is the larger of these two numbers. So you know what the form should be. 867 equals 255 times something plus something. So divide these two and get the quotient and remainder. So when you start dividing, you'll get that 245 times 3 plus your remainder will be 102. So again, you know what to do. Take this as your A, 255 equals 102 times something plus another number. So what will this be? 102 times 1. Now it will be 204, 204. Now your remainder will be around 51. So again 102, take this as A, 102 equals 51 times something plus another number. So 51 times 2 will give us 102 plus 0. Now as you ended this with this step where you get the remainder as 0, what is your HCF? HCF is 51. Therefore the HCF of these two given numbers is 51. So that was our subdivision 3 of question number 1. Simple, right? You have to use the Euclid's division lemma to basically solve every other problem if they have asked us to do so. So they are asking us to find the HCF of these given two numbers using Euclid's division lemma only. But sometimes they might ask us to find it using prime factorization methods. Those are different methods where I've already taught you how to find them in my previous videos. So go check them out as well. So next is our question number 2 of exercise 1. So in our question number 2, we have to say that any odd integer, that is any odd integer, as you know, odd integers can be represented in the form of 2n plus 1, right? So any odd integer, this is odd integer. So any odd integer can be represented in the form of 6q plus 1 or 6q plus 3 or 6q plus 5. So we have to basically say that an odd integer like 1, 3, 5, 7, or basically over here if you put 0, no, you get 1. Over here if you put 1, you get 9. So it is basically if you keep substituting for the values of q, you get an odd integer with every substitution. So basically let me show you how this produces an odd integer. Suppose you take q as 0, substitute it in the form over here, q times 0 plus 1, you will get 1. Now substitute over here, you will get 3. Substitute 0 over here, you will get 5. Now take q as 1, q equals 1. Substitute it correspondingly in these three equations. Substituting 1, you get 7. Substituting 1 over here, you will get 9. And substituting 1 over here, you get 11. So correspondingly, when you start substituting different values of q, which are integer values, you will get odd integers as your output or your outcome when you substitute them. So what they are trying to basically ask us to find is, we are going to prove that substituting for any values where q belongs to an integer, as I've already told you, z is a notation for integer. So when we start applying values for q which belongs to the integer set, the values should belong to an odd integer. So 6q plus 1, 6q plus 3, 6q plus 5 are representations of odd integers where we can substitute values of q. So basically you know that 2n plus 1 is 2n plus 1 is a representation of an odd integer, and 2n is a representation of an even integer. You can see that when you substitute 1, 2, 3, 4 or any number over here, you get an even number only. So substitute 1, you will get 2. Substitute 4, you will get 8, which is an even number indeed. and substitute different values for n over here, you get an odd number only. So these two are corresponding even and odd notations of any number. So basically, yeah, so the next step we are going to do is we are going to solve this using Euclid's division lemma. Now how are we going to do this? Take any number a. A is any positive integer. A equals 6q plus 1. 6q plus r basically. So a is equal to 6q plus r. Now your b, substitute b as 6, a as any positive integer, q is your integer set z, any number from this integer set, and r is your remainder. Now r can have values only between 0 to 5. I'm sorry, 0 to 6. It cannot exceed 6. Why can't it exceed 6? Because your remainder always stays less than your quotient, or your divisor. So suppose you divide 8 with 3. Now the remainders you can obtain is 0, 1 or 2 only. You can only obtain 0, 1 or 2 as your remainders, because when you get 3 again as your remainder, then it will again correspond to 0 only, right? Because 3 is again divisible by 3, right? Automatically 3 is divisible by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, right? So basically this might be a bit confusing for you, but just remember that your remainder cannot always exceed your divisor. This is your divisor, and the outcome you get over here is your remainder. So your remainder can only be 0, 1 or 2 when your divisor is 3. So that is the case over here. 0 less than or equal to r less than 6. So it can't exceed 6. So, or it can't be equal to 6 as well. So that was the case. Now this will be a basic form using Euclid's division lemma. I'll write it in a short form over here. Using Euclid's division lemma, we get this equation. A equals 6q plus r, where this is our b. B equals 6, q is any integer, positive integer, and b is 6, q is any positive integer, and r has the value range from 0 to 6. So r can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So substituting the values of r from 0 to 5, we might get the values of a as 6q plus 0, 6q plus 1, 6q plus 2, and so on till 6q plus 5. You can't basically get 6q plus 6, you can't get that. So I told you, right, our remainder cannot be always greater than divisor, right? So 6q plus 5 is the last equation for a. Now I can further split a equal to 6q plus 1 as 6q is 3 into 2q, right? 3 into 2q plus, 2 into 3q plus 1. 2 into 3q plus 1. 2 into 3 is 6, right? So 2 into 3q plus 1 is a. Now your 3q, your q is some integer, so your 3q must also be some integer, right? I am assuming 3q as some integer k. So 2 times k1, I am assuming it as k1 plus 1, where k1 is an integer as well. Both of these numbers are integers. Now q, suppose take 3. 3 is an integer. Now 3 times 2 is 6. 6 is also an integer, right? That is why I am taking 3q as also as k1, where k1 is an integer. Similarly, they asked us to find if it is odd for 6q plus 1, 6q plus 3, and 6q plus 5. So a equals 6q plus 1 I have proved. Basically, we are just converting the 6q plus 1 in the form of 2n plus 1. I told you that 2n plus 1 is an odd form and 2n is an even form. So 2n plus 1 is and 6k plus 1 are of similar forms, right? So similarly, I am bringing every other question to this form. So let me do for 6q plus 3. 6q plus 3 can also be written as 2 times 6q plus 3 can be written as 6q plus 2 plus 1, right? Now 6q plus 2 plus 1, take 2 common. 2 times 3q plus 1 plus 1. This is our final form. 2 times 3q plus 1 plus 1. So this 3q, suppose q is an integer, right? So 3 times q must also be an integer. 3 times q plus 1 should also be an integer. So I am substituting another variable. I am substituting another constant k2 plus 1, where k2 also belongs to the integer class. K2 also belongs to z. So this is also in the form of 2n plus 1. This is also in the form of 2n plus 1. So to 6q plus 1, 6q plus 2, already we have found that these two are in terms of 2n plus 1, right? So any integer, when we substitute, it will be of odd form, where odd form is 2n plus 1. And similarly, when we try to solve for 6q plus 5, a equals 6q plus 5, we can represent it as 6q plus 4, 6q plus 4 plus 1. Now take 2 common outside. 2 times 3q plus 2 plus 1. Now this 3q I'll represent it as k3 equals 2 times k3 plus 1, where k3 also belongs to integer. So this is also in the form of 2n plus 1. So finally we can say that every other thing or every other equation, 6q plus 1, 6q plus 3 or 6q plus 5, all the three equations are of the form when simplified of 2n plus 1. 2n plus 1 is a common notation for odd integers, and 2n is a form of even integers. So when it is of the form of odd integers, they obviously have to be an odd number, right? Any number substituted for the case of q, 6q plus 1, 6q plus 3 as well as 6q plus 5. All these three cases, if any number substituted for q, will get an odd number. So we can conclude that any odd integer can be represented of the form 6q plus 1, 6q plus 3 or 6q plus 5. That is how we solve this problem. There is another problem of this type as well, where you can see that in question number 4 or 5, I guess it's question number 4. Yeah, in question number 4 also there is a similar type of problem. In question number 4, we can see that we have to use Euclid's division lemma to show that square of any positive integer is either of the form 3m or 3m plus 1 for an integer m, where m belongs to an integer set. So square of any integer will belong to this 3m or 3m plus 1. So we have to show that it belongs to either of these two forms, and yeah, so m belongs to integer as told earlier. Now we have to check. So let us substitute some things over here. Take a pause. So this is question number 4, which is of similar type of question number 2 which we have previously solved. So in question number 4, we have to show that any square of an integer can be represented in the form of 3m or 3m plus 1, where m belongs to an integer. So let me explain the question for you. Now take any square number, example 4 or 9 or 16 or 25 or any other square number. Let us start with 4. Now obtaining 4, you can represent 4 in terms of 3m or 3m plus 1. Now how can we represent it? Substitute m as 1 in these two equations. 3m you will get 3, and for 3m plus 1 you will get 4. So yeah, you can either represent it, like you can get 4 by either of these two equations. So I am getting it in this equation. Now if you have to get 9, substitute 3 in these two equations. 3 3s are 9 over here, and 3 3s are 9 plus 1 is 10. So from these either of these two equations, I am getting 9 from this equation. So basically you can get the square of any integer using these two forms, either of these two forms. So in case of 25, what is 25? 24 plus 1, right? So 24, how will you get 24? Substitute 8. 8 times 3 plus 1. So this is of the form 3m plus 1, where m is equal to 8. Now you are getting 25 from this. So yeah, so you can see over here that you can represent your square number or square of any integer using these two forms, where m belongs to the integer. So now we have to prove that these represent the square of any integer. How do we prove that? We can prove that using Euclid's division lemma. We already tried proving the other question of question number 2, where we did that any odd integer can be represented in the corresponding forms. So now exactly the same thing, same procedures, but a different modification will be done in the solution of this question. Now let us start by taking any integer a equals bq plus r is a common equation of Euclid's division lemma, as you all know by now. So a equals 3m plus r, where instead of q I have written m, so 3m, plus instead of b I have written 3, so b equals 3. Instead of q I have replaced it with m because m is in the question, so it will be easier to write. No, so q instead of m, m instead of q, and then r, as you all know, should be between, I have told you to remember this, r should be between 0 and 3. R is always less than your divisor. So b is your divisor, so r, the range of r should be 0 and 3, between 0 and 3. So as you know that we have already did in the previous problem, that we have substituted all the values of r over here and got the equations. 3m, so the value of a can be 3m plus 1, 3m plus 2. Yeah, so 0, 1 and 2 are the values, right? So the value of a can be 3m plus 1 or 3m plus 2. So now taking each and every equation, we can solve these and represent it in a different form. So a equals 3m, or a equals 3m plus 1, or a equals 3m plus 2, right? We have obtained those three equations. Now solving for a equals 3m, a square equals 9m square. Now a square equals 3 times 3m square. Now when you represent it in this form, 3 times 3m square, m as we all know belongs to the integer set. It is given in the question, m belongs to integers. So m square must also belong to integers, because when you take m as 2, 2 square should also, 2 square which is 4, which is also an integer, right? So m square also belongs to integers. Now 3 times m square must also belong to integer set, because if you take 3 square is 9, that is also integer. 3 square is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, 27 is also an integer, right? So 3 times m square should also belong to an integer. So I'm replacing this 3 times m square as some constant k1. Now this k1 should belong to an integer. So I'm basically saying that this 3m square is equal to k1, some constant which belongs to an integer class. So I'm replacing this 3m square with k1. So a square is equal to 3k1. So basically this is 3 times some integer. And over here, similarly, I squared it in this step, right? Similarly, I'm squaring it here as well. A square equals 3m plus 1, the whole square. Now, square, using the thing you square it, 3m the plus 1 the whole square is a square plus b square plus 2ab. So 9m the whole square will be 9m square plus b square, which is 1, plus 2 times a times b. 2 times 3m times 1, which should be 6m. Now, when you start like 9m square plus 1 plus 6m, right? So when you take this a square equals 9m square plus 6m plus 1, take these two and take the common out of these two. 3m is common, right? 3m times what is left over? 3m plus 2 plus 1. Now what as you all might have guessed, I will take 3m plus 2. Okay, wait, I'll not take m outside. A square equals, combine these two, this one and this one. So take a common 3. 3 is a common, right? 3 times 3m square plus 2m plus 1. So I'm basically representing these in the form of 3m, 3k1, 3k1 plus k2 plus 1, 3k3 plus 2. And basically representing in these forms 3k plus 1, 3k plus 2. So over here you obviously like know the step what I'm going to do. This is going to be a k as well. So m is belonging to integer. M square also belongs to integer. Now 3 times m square also belongs to integer. 3 times m square plus 2m also belongs to integer, right? So instead of all these, I'll replace it with k3. I'm sorry, k2, where k2 is also some integer. So a square is equals 3 times k2 plus 1. So basically we are representing, see, this is the same thing, 3m plus 1 and 3k2 plus 1. But we are showing that a over here in the LHS and a square over here in the LHS. So we are just showing that however we square it, we are going to obtain the same, like similar equation where we will get the square number. Like basically I showed you in the first cases, right? If you take 16, then 16 can be represented as 3 times 5 plus 1. So 3m plus 1, right? Where m is 5. Or if you take 9, 3 times 3, where is m is 3, so 3m. Either of these two, we are representing using these two to represent these square numbers. So basically we are bringing all these equations after squaring to the same form. So what you have to do over here, similarly square it. I'll erase this part. So a square equals 3m plus 2 the whole square. Similarly square on both the sides. So 9m square plus 2 times a times b. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12m plus 4. Now what you do over here is a square equals 9m square plus 12m plus 4, right? So it will be, take 3 common outside. So 3 times, what will this be? 3m square plus 4m plus, okay wait, I'll divide it. Divide 4 is as 3 plus 1. A square is equal to 9m square plus 12m plus 3 plus 1. This can be split as such, right? 4 can be split as 3 plus 1. So a square equals 9m square plus 12m. So take the common outside. Take common 3 outside. 3 is the common, so 3m square plus 4m plus 1 plus 1 in the outside. So basically what, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just taking this as a constant. So a square is equal to 3 times k3 plus 1, where k3 also belongs to the integer set. I've told you already, right? 3m square plus 2m is also an integer. So 3m square plus 4m plus 1 must also be an integer. So I'm replacing this whole thing with k3, where k3 is also an integer. Depending upon the values of m, the values of k3 also differ. So I'm just replacing this whole equation with k3. Now a square is equal to finally 3k3 plus 1. Now all the equations we have derived for this one and all, a equals 3m. All the equations we have derived, we have obtained a square equals either 3k1 or 3k1 3k plus 1 in this case, as well as 3k plus 1. So this and this are the only cases obtained: 3k plus 1, 3k plus 1, and for this also we obtained 3k, where I took 1, 2 and 3 over here, but in general we are taking 3k and 3k plus 1 only. We are obtaining only those two. So when you square this also, we are getting this equation that suggests that this can be the squares of these numbers can be represented by this form. Now k is an integer, right? So instead of k you can replace it with m, because m is a constant. So 3m or 3m plus 1 can be used to represent all the square numbers, which are take example 16, 25, 64, all these numbers can be represented by these two. So that ends this type of questions. And you also have another cube question. You can solve this in a similar way, where for this exercise all the complex questions are done. So in the next video I'll be solving the other exercises of this problem, and we will move on to the next chapter, which is polynomials. So thank you guys for watching this video, and do not forget to like, share and comment. See you guys in the next video.